At the beginning of the movie, Hong Seol, the female lead, remembers an incident from a year ago when she attended a student gathering party. She met a handsome senior named Yu Young but was put off by his seemingly fake smile, leading her to believe he wasn't a good person. After the party, she went down the stairs and saw the senior counting club funds. She also saw Yu Young standing under the stairs. The next day, the senior approached Hong Seol, accusing her of posting on the school forum to falsely accuse him of embezzling club funds, which led to his disciplinary action. He claimed that she was the only one present when he was counting the money. Hong Seol vehemently denied his accusations, but he didn't believe her, insisting someone else was under the stairs. At that moment, Yu Young appeared, and Hong Seol looked towards him. Yu Young went towards the senior and said, "We'll talk later." As the senior walked away, Hong Seol confronted Yu Young, telling him that he was the one who did it, not her, because he was there too. The girl accompanying Yu Young, noticing Hong Seol seemed to avoid her, said Yu Young had been worried about this incident since yesterday and had tried to find a way to smooth things over. Then the girl gave Hong Seol a fake smile and walked away. While buying coffee, Hong Seol ran into Yu Young at the cafe but received no response when she greeted him. As they were leaving, the girl with Yu Young asked Hong Seol if she had apologized to him properly. Suddenly, Yu Young stepped out and told Hong Seol not to drink too much coffee, then offered her another cup, suggesting she eat healthier. The girl with Yu Young was visibly annoyed, her face puffing up with jealousy at Yu Young's attention towards Hong Seol. Later, while Hong Seol was sleeping, her friend woke her up for class. However, Hong Seol said it was still early and there was no need to go to class. It turned out that the girl, Soo Jun, had intentionally lied to Hong Seol about the class time to make her late. Hong Seol's friend wanted to confront Soo Jun, but was stopped by the boy at their table. He took the teacher's attendance book to buy time for Hong Seol to reach class. He ran out of the classroom, chased by the teacher. When he reached the hallway, he bumped into Hong Seol but diverted the teacher's attention, allowing Hong Seol to slip into the classroom. Hong Seol couldn't shake the feeling that Yu Young was manipulating others to cause her trouble. She decided to take a break from school. Back in the present, Hong Seol and her friend were talking at her workplace. Her friend thought Hong Seol had dropped out of school to work because she couldn't afford the tuition and offered her some of her savings. However, Hong Seol refused. Suddenly, she received a message from her friend Yoon Teek informing her that she had been awarded a scholarship. Hong Seol was puzzled about receiving the scholarship. After returning to school, Hong Seol noticed that Yu Young often approached her, making her feel uneasy. Sensing her avoidance, Yu Young appeared confused. When Hong Seol ran outside, she thought she had done something wrong, and that Yu Young was going to approach her and cause trouble. Yu Young continued to observe Hong Seol, his face perpetually holding a mysterious smile. While waiting in class for the teacher to take attendance, Hong Seol couldn't find her name. After going to the office to inquire, she was surprised to learn that she had been switched to a different class. After losing her desired class, she felt like she was walking on clouds, unable to focus. While pondering the difficulty of getting a scholarship in this new class, Yu Young suddenly appeared and greeted her. As they left the classroom, Yu Young followed her and asked her out for dinner, but Hong Seol declined. He also learned that her class had been cancelled and asked if she suspected anyone. Hong Seol couldn't accuse him directly, so she said she'd try to catch the culprit and left. Yu Young then went to the teacher's office, seeking his help in finding out who had cancelled Hong Seol's class. Meanwhile, Hong Seol begged her teacher to let her join the class, explaining that someone was targeting her, but he refused. The scene shifted to a cafe where Hong Seol was working part-time. Yu Young appeared, bought a coffee and a strawberry ice cream, and gave the ice cream to Hong Seol. She was confused by his gesture. She then received a call and rushed to class, arriving just as the teacher was taking attendance. She was put on the list of students who were late, and the teacher warned her that 3 lates were equivalent to 1 absence, and 3 absences would result in failing the course. While in the library, a classmate approached Hong Seol and told her that she saw Yu Young using the computer shortly after Hong Seol left. This solidified Hong Seol's suspicion that Yu Young was responsible. She shared her suspicions with Bo Ra and Yoon Teek. As she was about to check the security footage, Yu Young arrived and asked if she really suspected him. He proposed they watch the footage together at 6 p.m. and gave her a can of soda. At the appointed time, Yu Young didn't show up, so the three of them went inside and requested access to the security footage. They saw that Yu Young was standing in the area but left before the class was cancelled. They tried to check further, but the security guard kicked them out. Right after they were kicked out, someone else arrived and started using the same computer Hong Xiao had used. Yu Young met with that person and revealed that it was the senior who Hong Xiao had previously accused of embezzling club funds. The senior pleaded with him to let him go, revealing he knew everything. While walking home, dejected and unsure of who the culprit was, Hong Xiao encountered Yu Young heading in the opposite direction. She apologized to him. Yu Young invited her out to dinner again, but she refused. The scene shifted to a young boy sitting alone. He saw his older sister getting off a car with a man. The man then yelled at the boy, accusing him of being a loser for following his sister. The boy ran out and confronted the man, who got back in his car and drove away. The next day, the boy was studying, thinking he wouldn't have to encounter Yu Young anymore in his new class, when Yu Young suddenly walked in and sat down next to him, putting Hong Xiao in an awkward position. After class ended, Hong Xiao hurried out before Yu Young could ask her to lunch. She intentionally avoided him in the following days. Once, while walking down the stairs, she bumped into Su Jun, so she turned around and accidentally collided with a group of Yu Young's friends. Yu Young quickly stood up to help her, but she brushed him off, saying she was fine, with a panicked expression. Once outside, she felt uneasy about the misunderstanding and felt like Yu Young was chasing after her, so she apologized. Yu Young told her that if she wanted to apologize, she had to have dinner with him, and she reluctantly agreed. They had a simple meal together at a convenience store, eating rice balls. On their way back, they ran into Hong Xiao's younger sister. She was impressed by Yu Young's good looks. Hong Xiao then warned her sister to be careful with college guys because they might appear good-looking, but actually be terrible people. The next day at school, Hong Xiao was stopped by a young man who asked her where the business school building was. She told him to ask the security guard as she was busy and tried to leave, but he grabbed her arm and pushed her down. The security guard saw this and chased after the man. When Hong Xiao got to her classroom, she wanted to take out her laptop to get her files, but she realized that after the fall, her laptop's keyboard was completely broken. She was at a loss, but Yu Young noticed and offered her his laptop to use. He saw her diligently typing, even almost getting called out by the teacher, so he intervened by asking a question to distract the teacher, allowing Hong Xiao to finish her work. At the end of the class, when the teacher asked for the reports, Yu Young offered to hand his in and stood there watching Hong Xiao. After she finished writing, Hong Xiao asked him if he really needed to stand there and watch. Yu Young asked if he was distracting her, and she admitted he was. Hearing this, Yu Young seemed happy and told her that she had been distracting him lately, making her freeze for a few seconds. He then offered to help her print her documents. Hong Xiao thanked him profusely. Su Jun happened to enter the classroom and saw them talking, appearing unhappy. After Yu Young left, Su Jun accused Hong Xiao of flirting with Yu Young. Hong Xiao tried to explain, but Su Jun ignored her and left. She looked menacing, confirming her villainous role. Su Jun then went into the teacher's office and took Hong Xiao's report from the desk. Hong Xiao was at the library but realized she had left her USB in the classroom. When she went back to get it, she ran into Su Jun, who was holding her report. Su Jun threatened that she wouldn't stop targeting Hong Xiao if she continued to get close to Yu Young. Just then, Yu Young came out and overheard the conversation. He told Hong Xiao to submit her report. Su Jun tried to act cute, but Yu Young told her that he'd never treated her any differently and that she should stop getting ideas and apologize to Hong Xiao. The teacher refused to accept Hong Xiao's late submission, but Yu Young stepped in to help her, and the teacher eventually accepted it. Hong Xiao was worried about her low grade, but Yu Young assured her he would help her get a high score in the group project to compensate for the late submission. She was completely confused by his kindness and couldn't figure out what he wanted from her. While the library seemed like an ideal place to study, Hong Xiao couldn't find a seat, so she borrowed her friend Yoon Teek's club room to study. On her way home, Su Jun encountered a drunk man who harassed her. Seeing Hong Xiao inside, she told the man to go in and find a girl who would listen to him, implying there might be more alcohol inside. Then, she pretended to be panicked and ran to Yu Young, telling him that Hong Seol was in danger. However, Yu Young knew she was faking it and drove off, leaving her embarrassed for the second time. Meanwhile, inside the building, Jin Chung heard the commotion and was terrified. She was carrying a bag and about to run away when the drunk man grabbed her and smashed a wine bottle against her hand, injuring her. Luckily, the building's security guard arrived in time and apprehended the man. The next day at school, Yu Young saw Hong Seol and noticed her injured hand. He took her outside and cared for her wound, changing the bandage. While studying, Hong Seol was asked by an upperclassman to find some documents. As she opened her laptop, she saw the article she had written accusing the upperclassman of embezzling money. She realized she had misjudged Yu Young. Seeing him standing downstairs, she went down to apologize and invited him to dinner. The scene then shifted to Hong Seol arriving at school, where she was pulled into a room by two friends who wanted to change her clothes and put makeup on her for a blind date after class. She was embarrassed when she saw Yu Young in class, but he complimented her on looking beautiful. Her younger sister had texted her asking for help setting up a blind date with Yu Young. Soo Jun had set up a meeting with Yu Young after class. While they were sitting in the cafeteria together, Hong Seol claimed she had an emergency and left them alone. During her blind date, Hong Seol ran into the guy from school who had previously pushed her down. He saw her on a blind date and was furious, insulting her date and scolding her for going on a blind date with a scumbag. Hong Seol was embarrassed and left. As she reached the entrance, she was surprised to see Yu Young standing there. She asked him about her sister, and he replied that her sister had approached him with a motive before leaving. After meeting Hong Seol, the guy picked up her phone, which she had left behind. He saw a photo of her and Yu Young together and realized they knew each other. He called Yu Young with Hong Seol's phone. It turned out his name was Baek In-ho. Yu Young went to meet In-ho. In-ho asked why he hadn't reached out to him in years, but Yu Young said, "If our relationship was so good, why would I need to reach out?" The next day at school, Yu Young ignored Hong Seol. She approached him and apologized, but he said he was talking to his friends and ignored her. Even on their way home, Hong Seol was still thinking about Yu Young's attitude. She started feeling uncomfortable with the thought of him being angry and ignoring her. Her younger sister later approached Hong Seol and told her about their blind date. She said that Yu Young hadn't said much after Hong Seol left, but he had asked for her address. She thought that he might have feelings for Hong Seol because he had looked very upset when he heard about her blind date. Hong Seol denied it, but those words were stuck in her mind. After finding out that In-ho had her phone, Hong Seol went to meet him. He asked her if she was dating Yu Young, making her spit out her water. He also told her she wasn't Yu Young's type because her hair was messy and she had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forehead bumps. Hong Seol was offended and told him he was rude, but she had to pay for the meal to get her phone back. On their way home, In-ho noticed they were going in the same direction and guessed she lived nearby. Hong Seol denied it, saying she had taken a wrong turn. Once back in her room, Hong Seol received a message from In-ho asking to meet again. She panicked because he had gotten her number and worried he might be stalking her. She even locked her door tightly. During a group meeting for their project, the upperclassman, Sang Cheol, claimed he wasn't feeling well and wasn't interested in working on the project. The other two members didn't know where to find the materials. Later, Hong Seol received a message from In-ho asking her to do Sang Cheol's work too. The other member texted her, confused about what was happening. Hong Seol was frustrated and tossed and turned in bed. The next day when she went to the meeting, no one showed up. She saw Sang Cheol posting photos of himself drinking on social media, so she went to the bar to find him. She was then detained by a friend of Yu Young and forced to drink to the point of being intoxicated. Yu Young was reviewing some documents and called his friend at the bar, saying he'd stop by to pick them up. His friend told Yu Young that Sang Cheol was someone who often got his girlfriends drunk and took them to motels. Yu Young immediately went to the bar, saw Sang Cheol trying to take Hong Seol away, and intervened. He took her outside and said he would take her home. He hailed a cab for her and went back to the bar. He bumped into his friend and told him to stop trying to seduce her. He warned him to watch his actions or he would expose his dirty secrets and ruin his career. Yu Young received a call from his father, asking him to bring In-ho to their house. Yu Young went home with In-ho and his sister. The four of them ate dinner together, but Yu Young seemed uncomfortable. After dinner, Yu Young took In Ho aside and told him to stop blaming others for ruining his life and to leave with his sister and stop leeching off of them. In Ho was furious and kicked the car mirror. Yu Young kicked him and said it was the cost of repairing the mirror before driving away. The next day, Hong Seol realized it was the deadline for the project, and none of her group members had sent her any materials. She thought about just giving up, but her academic pressure motivated her to get up and complete all the tasks by herself until morning. Just as she was about to take a nap, Hong Seol jolted awake and started preparing for her presentation. She arrived at class and saw everyone in her group looking remorseful, offering excuses. Hong Seol didn't bother saying anything and just handed them the presentation materials, thinking to herself, "If I see you, I'll punch you." Then, each group presented. Hong Seol noticed that every group had made mistakes and thought that maybe her group would get a high score after all. When Yu Young's group presented, everything was perfect, as expected, because he carried the team. But when Hong Seol's group presented, she realized, with a sinking heart, that only one person had done the entire presentation. The teacher gave them the lowest score, which felt like a slap in the face. Hong Seol was extremely disappointed, and her group members started blaming each other. Hong Seol saw that her classmate had done her part, but hadn't shared it with her. Feeling helpless, Hong Seol just watched and walked out. She went to see the teacher, hoping to appeal for a higher grade due to her effort, but the teacher refused. While Hong Seol's two friends were talking about going out, Hong Seol suddenly snapped and started arguing with Bo Ra. Seeing Hong Seol leave, Yu Young called out to her, but she ignored him. Yu Young followed her all the way home. Suddenly, he encountered In Ho, who was walking with Hong Seol, seeming to be friendly. Yu Young was confused. Hong Seol went home, constantly thinking about the teacher's words that she was living her life the wrong way. The next day at school, she was embarrassed to face everyone. She barely spoke to Bo Ra. While looking for water, she bumped into Yu Young and invited him out to apologize for arranging the blind date with her sister. She assured him she hadn't meant to use him for the setup. Yu Young apologized for his cold behavior towards her. She invited him to dinner. Thinking he'd want to go somewhere fancy, she was surprised when he suggested they eat rice balls again, like last time. Yu Young walked her home. On the way, she asked him if he knew Baek In Ho. He said she should stay away from someone like him. She wasn't sure if he was being genuine, so she stopped asking. As they reached her door, Yu Young stopped her and asked if she wanted to date him. She was speechless, her jaw dropping in surprise. She said it was a bit sudden and she had never thought about having a boyfriend. After hesitating for a while, Hong Seol agreed to go on a date with Yu Young. Once inside, she couldn't believe that Yu Young had actually asked her out, and she felt a little dazed. The next day at school, Hong Seol worried that Yu Young would express his feelings in front of everyone. But to her surprise, he simply greeted her back normally and left with his friends. That night, Hong Seol waited for a text from Yu Young, but she didn't receive anything. She felt a little frustrated. Then, her phone buzzed. She excitedly checked and found a message from Yoon Teek asking her to go out for dinner the next day. The next day, Bo Ra also arrived, and they made up. Hong Seol told them about Yu Young's confession, but he hadn't contacted her since. She asked her friends what she should do. The two girls couldn't believe that Yu Young had actually confessed to Hong Seol. On her way home, Hong Seol received a call from a teaching assistant at the university, asking if she was interested in working in the university office. She agreed immediately since she was looking for a job. Bo Ra suggested she call Yu Young first and tell him she'd be working at the university office, then ask for his opinion. That way, she could find a way to talk to him. That evening, Hong Seol composed a text message but hesitated before sending it, anxiously waiting for his reply. Yu Young, who was busy playing a game, put his phone down after replying and continued playing. Hong Seol eagerly checked her phone and saw his message. "That's good. I hope you have a fun break." She felt let down. The next morning, Hong Seol went to the university to start her new job. Upon arriving, she was immediately scolded for being late, even though it wasn't actually time yet. She wondered what was going on. It turned out she was assigned to clean the dishes, brew coffee, and organize files. While working, Yu Young suddenly walked into the office, surprising Hong Seol. He told her teacher that he wanted to go out with her for a bit. The teacher asked if they were dating, and Yu Young nodded. After talking for a while, Yu Young asked Hong Seol if she was free this weekend and suggested they go on a date. When it was time for their date, Hong Seol stayed home, picking out clothes, putting on makeup, and straightening her forehead bumps to prepare for her date with Yu Young. As she was leaving, she bumped into In Ho returning from a job interview. She criticized his attire, saying he looked like a gangster, and he responded by saying she looked like she was going to a nursing home, since she was going on a date dressed like that. She went back home and changed her clothes before meeting Yu Young. Meanwhile, In Ho's sister, In Ha, was shopping at a mall when she found out that her debit card was blocked. She called Yu Young's father and asked him why he had blocked her card. She acted helpless. He explained that if she studied hard and got a degree, she'd have a job, and she shouldn't waste this opportunity. She replied that she wasn't a good student, so that exam was too difficult. She was very upset to learn that Yu Young had suggested she go to school. Hong Seol and Yu Young went on a date to the cinema, then went out to eat. When she opened the menu, she was shocked by the prices. It was way more expensive than anything she'd ever eaten before. In Ha, after having her money cut off by Yu Young's father, called her brother In Ho to ask for money. Hong Seol dragged her tired body back to her familiar room after a day of dating, wondering if everyone had such tiring dates. She wanted to get some snacks, but there was nothing left in her apartment, so she had to go to the convenience store. She ran into In Ho there. Seeing him use both hands effortlessly, Hong Seol expressed her admiration. In Ho explained that he was initially left-handed but switched to right-handed after an accident. He added that Yu Young was responsible for that accident, which surprised Hong Seol. He also warned her to be careful with Yu Young. Back home, Hong Seol thought that In Ho wasn't a bad guy. She wondered what had happened between him and Yu Young that had caused them to be so hostile towards each other. She went to the language center to inquire about the English course that Yu Young had recommended. She was surprised to find out she was eligible for a free course. As she was about to leave, she noticed a picture on the advertisement board with In Ho on it. She thought she was mistaken but saw In Ho working there. He explained that he was both a model for the center and a janitor. The teaching assistant brought her a huge pile of documents and told her she had to finish them by the end of the day. Hong Seol refused, saying she would try to finish them as quickly as possible, but not in one day. Just then, Yu Young arrived and took Hong Seol outside. He asked her if there was anything interesting going on at the center. Hong Seol, remembering the tension between In Ho and Yu Young, decided not to mention meeting In Ho and said there wasn't anything interesting. Yu Young seemed suspicious, as he already knew that In Ho worked at the language center. He left first. At the language center, Hong Seol met In Ho again, and they sat in the classroom, talking happily. Later that night, In Ho walked Hong Seol home. Yu Young was standing at the door, having seen them walk together. When he saw Yu Young's concern for Hong Seol, In Ho sarcastically said, "Of course you'd be worried. She's your girlfriend." Yu Young turned and walked away. Hong Seol chased after him, wanting to explain about walking home with In Ho. She said it had been raining and she didn't have an umbrella, so she walked home with him since they were going in the same direction. Yu Young was visibly upset and angry that she hadn't listened to him about avoiding In Ho. Suddenly, it started raining again. Hong Seol couldn't hold back her feelings anymore and asked him why she should avoid In Ho. He simply said, "He's not me." Hong Seol couldn't believe it and said, "Is that the only reason?" Yu Young, seeing her frustration, held the umbrella over her and told her to go inside and sleep. He didn't want to argue with her. As she was about to go inside, Hong Seol received a call from Bo Ra, saying her father had just passed away. Hong Seol immediately ran to Bo Ra's place, and Yu Young drove her there. While waiting outside, Hong Seol fell asleep. Yu Young brought her a blanket and gently sat next to her. He watched her sleep and eventually fell asleep himself. Hong Seol woke up and covered Yu Young with the blanket. The doctor came out and said the surgery was successful. Bo Ra thanked everyone for coming. Afterwards, Hong Seol and Yu Young left together. Yu Young wanted to sit down and talk with her and explain everything. He told her that In Ho was once the son of a professor who was close friends with his father. After his father died, Yu Young's family took In Ho in and helped him. In Ho was very good at playing the piano, but after getting into a fight at school, he injured his hand. He blamed Yu Young for the incident, and a misunderstanding developed that continues to this day. That's why Yu Young had told her to stay away from him, afraid that he might take his anger out on Hong Seol. After clearing the air, Yu Young drove Hong Seol back home. When she went to the language center to apologize to In Ho for the previous night, he kept teasing her about being Yu Young's girlfriend, making her feel uncomfortable. She told him to say what he wanted to say instead of being so sarcastic. He responded by saying they were no longer friends and that if she didn't want to talk, then that was fine. Hong Seol agreed, leaving him speechless. Yu Young and Hong Seol were having dinner together when Yu Young asked why she was friends with Bo Ra and Yoon Teek. She explained they had met at a tutoring center. She talked about her first impression of Bo Ra, which had initially made her a bit scared. Yu Young suddenly asked her about her first impression of him. She blushed and looked down. While walking on the sidewalk, she almost got hit by a motorcycle. Yu Young pulled her towards him, but she instinctively pushed him away, probably forgetting she was dating him. They went back to their respective homes, texting each other with smiles. It seemed like love did make a difference. In Ha, having run out of money, went to In Ho to ask for money. She saw him following Hong Seol. She made an excuse to talk to Hong Seol and borrowed her phone to call In Ho. She said that she didn't know what she'd do if he didn't bring the money. In Ho ran over immediately, pulled In Hae away, leaving Hong Seol confused. The two siblings argued. In Ho tried to hit her, but In Hae tearfully said he was just like their aunt. Suddenly, In Ho recalled a memory from their childhood when he and In Ha had been abused by their aunt. They had tried to take her money and run away, but she caught them. In Ho managed to escape and met Yu Young's father. In Ha also escaped shortly after and went to Yu Young's father, showing him her injuries from the abuse. In the present, In Ha held the money in her hand, thinking she had tricked her brother into giving her money just by pretending to be pitiful. She called him a pathetic loser. Meanwhile, Hong Seol received a text from Yu Young saying he was on his way to meet her. She agreed to meet him at a bar near her house. Upon arrival, Yu Young ran into an old friend. In Ho was on his way home when he saw a man in black hiding a brick and heading towards Hong Seol's house. Hong Seol's teaching assistant was walking outside when he was hit on the head with a brick by the man in black and knocked unconscious. The attacker then took the keys from his pocket. In Ho arrived at the scene, saw the man lying on the ground, and quickly called for help. On the other side, Yu Young had met his old friend at the bar, and they ended up drinking a lot. They took his friend back home. The next morning, the police arrived to investigate the attack and wanted to search the teaching assistant's house. They discovered stolen underwear in the house and arrested the man. Hong Seol, knowing Yu Young was close with the assistant, called him, but Yu Young simply said he would be released on his own if he wasn't guilty. Hong Seol was at home when she heard a commotion coming from the teaching assistant's apartment. She was about to go ask what was happening when the assistant opened the door. Seeing Hong Seol, he was even angrier. He told her straight up that she and Yu Young were comfortable exploiting his weakness. Hong Seol was confused, and he continued, explaining that Yu Young had threatened him to throw away his report, so Hong Seol would get the scholarship. Hong Seol was shocked. Later, she met with Yu Young to talk. He said he didn't want her to drop out of school and that he wanted to help her, but he didn't know how. He explained that they hadn't been talking much at that time, and there were some misunderstandings, so he had done that. Hong Seol felt hurt, as if he was pitying her. She left, and Yu Young stood there unsure what to say, watching her go. He went to the teaching assistant's apartment to confront him, but Chu Dong stopped him and begged him to forgive him. Seeing that, Yu Young said he would forgive him on one condition, that he return to his family and get his life together before getting involved with anyone else. After talking with Bo Ra, Hong Seol decided to meet Yu Young to talk. At the language center, she saw In Ho looking glum. When she asked him what was wrong, he said he had a headache because he didn't know what she was going to treat him to. Hong Seol asked why he brought up food again, and he said she had promised to take him out to eat, but now was pretending not to remember. Hong Seol agreed to take him out for dinner that night. In Ho waited outside the convenience store when he heard a familiar voice on the TV, his piano teacher. He remembered that he used to be a very talented piano player, a prodigy that his teacher loved, but after getting injured in a fight, he had given up playing the piano. He was very upset. When Hong Seol arrived, she saw him standing in the rain, crying. She ran over and held the umbrella over him, but didn't ask him what was wrong. Yu Young was waiting for Hong Seol outside her apartment in the rain. After a while, he went to the bar and found Hong Seol and In-ho drinking together. He said he'd told In-ho to stay away from his friends, but he hadn't listened. In-ho responded that Hong Seol had invited him to drink, so he couldn't refuse. Seeing this, Yu Young sat down and joined them. After a while, Hong Seol got drunk and started saying that they were acting like elementary school kids, constantly fighting. She then fell asleep on the table. When they were walking home, Hong Seol's younger brother threw a water bottle at them, thinking they had done something to his sister. They helped her back to her apartment. The next morning, Hong Seol's sister was surprised to see her brother sitting there. He joked that she had vomited on Yu Young's head the night before, which made Hong Seol jump. She insisted that she would never drink again. Hong Seol met Yu Young and apologized for getting angry at him for only hearing one side of the story. They made up, and Hong Seol even invited him to watch a movie. When they reached her apartment, she surprised Yu Young by giving him a watch. He hugged her and thanked her. Yu Young went home, happy. He took off the watch Hong Seol had given him and tried it on. He was shopping at a store when he ran into Young Gon. Hong Seol remembered that he had constantly followed her and told people that she liked him. As she left the store and tried to take a back alley, Young Gon blocked her, saying he wanted to talk. Hong Seol tried to leave, but he pushed her against the wall. He was even more aggressive when he found out she was dating Yu Young. Suddenly, In-ho appeared from behind, kicked him, and punched him, chasing him away. Seeing In-ho's injured hand, Hong Seol bought a bandage and left it on his table for him. At the end of the school day, Hong Seol saw Yu Young waiting for her outside. He said he wanted to take her home. When they arrived at her building, they saw a lot of police investigating the stalker who had been appearing around the neighborhood. Yu Young was worried about Hong Seol, so he suggested staying with her because he didn't feel comfortable with the situation. Although they had turned off the lights and were supposed to be sleeping, they were both awake. They got out their photo albums and looked through them. Yu Young asked her why she liked him first, since she hadn't even liked him before. Hong Seol said he had always been there to help her, invited her to eat, then confessed his feelings for her, and then disappeared without a trace. She had fallen for him without realizing it. After sharing their thoughts, they finally decided to go to sleep. In-ho got fired from his job at the language center because he had attacked Young Gon. Hong Seol was extremely guilty and sad when she heard that he was about to leave. The next day, Hong Seol was moving, and everyone came to take her out to eat. When she got home in the evening and was about to open the door, the stalker in black stepped out of her apartment and choked her against the wall. Yu Young entered and saw what was happening. He told the stalker to let her go, but the man shoved Hong Seol, causing her to fall down the stairs. He ran outside and ran into In-ho and Hong Seol's younger brother. The two of them chased after him, but he escaped. Yu Young called Hong Seol, saying he would be there soon and asking Bo Ra and Yoon Teek to stay with her. He found the stalker hiding in an alley and beat him up. The stalker asked him if Hong Seol knew that he was crazy. Meanwhile, the police, along with Bo Ra, were helping Hong Seol get into the car to go to the hospital when another man ran up behind them. The policeman told Hong Seol to wait a moment. Coincidentally, she was sitting next to the alley where Yu Young was beating up the stalker, and she heard everything he was saying and saw his actions. When Yu Young came out, he saw Hong Seol and tried to help her up, but she brushed his hand away, looking very shocked. In the hospital, Hong Seol found him, and they made up. She saw his injured hand and told him not to go to such lengths again. They looked at each other happily, preparing for a new semester together. On the first day of the new semester, Hong Seol didn't want their relationship to be revealed, but as soon as Yu Young entered the classroom, he went directly to where she was sitting. When people around them asked him, he said they were dating, shocking everyone. Hong Seol was embarrassed and didn't know where to hide. That night, when she got home, Hong Seol saw In-ho working at her mom's noodle shop. Her mom pulled her aside and asked her if he was her boyfriend. Hong Seol said he was a senior. Her mother told her to look at her father's life and advised her to choose a good man. Hong Seol lay in bed, thinking about marrying Yu Young and felt giddy. The school was having a basketball tournament. Bo-ra was cheering when Young Gon grabbed her arm. Yoon-taek saw this and got angry, causing Young Gon to get a nosebleed. Seeing the tension, Yu-young tried to intervene, but Young Gon pushed him in the face. He told everyone that Yu-young was pretending to be a good person, and everyone said he was crazy and told him to apologize to Yu-young. Young Gon sat dejectedly on a chair when Hong Seol approached and comforted him. This only made him more obsessed with her. Yu-young watched from afar. Yu-young was lost in thought about the times he had been harassed by Young Gon when he saw a grain of rice on her lip. He picked it off, making her jump. She told him not to be so friendly. Yu-young looked at her, scolding himself, finding her cute and laughing as if he were watching a comedy. In-ho was working diligently at Hong Seol's house when her uncle asked him to help clean up the bakery. After cleaning up the bakery, he was taken to the storage room by her uncle. He saw a piano there. Hesitantly, he placed his hand on the keys, but there was no sound. As he was looking for the power cord, her uncle came in and told him he could leave early because the bakery would be busy that night. Yu-young walked Hong Seol to the front of her alleyway. He was about to kiss her, but she stopped him. She was about to go home but changed her mind and kissed him quickly before running away, feeling embarrassed. She took shelter from the rain with her brother, and they saw In-ho standing, looking at the electrical outlet store. They called to him and offered him a ride home. Back at her apartment, they learned that In-ho was going to the storage room of her uncle's bakery that night. Hong Seol bought an electrical outlet and brought some music books for In-ho. She encouraged him and told him to keep trying. As she was leaving, In-ho plugged the electrical outlet into the piano. When the sound of the piano filled the room, he seemed to rediscover his passion. In-ho and Hong Seol's younger brother went to the university looking for her. They texted her to meet them. In-ho entered a piano practice room, and the teacher recognized him, but he ran away. At the same time, Hong Seol arrived. The teacher asked her what was going on and asked her to give In-ho his business card. That night, Yu-young and Hong Seol went to give In-ho the business card. Yu-young said he would help In-ho go abroad to study music again. It was up to him to decide whether he wanted to do it or not. Then they left. Yu-young received a text message asking him to meet at the classroom to discuss his internship. When he arrived, he found Young Gon there. Young Gon accused Yu-young of being fake and asked when he was going to stop deceiving Hong Seol. He also revealed that he had a thermal-sensitive pen to expose Yu-young's true colors. He showed Yu-young the text messages he had received from him before, but Yu-young denied sending them. Young Gon didn't believe him and called the number. A girl's voice answered, shocking Young Gon. He grabbed Yu-young's collar, but other seniors arrived and scolded him. Yu-young walked out, remembering how he sent the first message to Young Gon and how In-ha had been the one who sent the rest of the messages. He had given her the phone to keep. Yu-young and Hong Seol were talking when a group of their classmates approached and they all started drinking together. Yu-young got drunk and Hong Seol volunteered to take him home. On their way back, Yu-young, still tipsy, confessed that initially, he thought Hong Seol was just like the others, only approaching him when she needed something. But he gradually started to like her and realized she was different. After a while, he kissed Hong Seol. On their way home, Hong Seol was lost in thought. In-ho approached her and asked her what was wrong, but she ignored him. When In-ho asked about Yu-young, she was startled and ran back home. In bed, Hong Seol replayed the kiss in her mind, feeling a thrill run through her. In-ho went to the professor's office and handed him his business card. The professor invited him in. Hong Seol was talking to her younger sister when an older student approached and asked to borrow her notes from the previous year. Seeing her, his eyes lit up, and he forgot all about the notes. Hong Seol was speechless. In-ho was playing the piano, but the professor could tell he wasn't as skilled as he used to be. He asked him how long it had been since he last played and then asked him to leave. Hearing his former student play, In-ho realized that his talent had diminished. On the subway ride back home with In-ho, Hong Seol received a call from Yu-young. Back at home, she found Yu-young waiting outside a noodle shop. He wanted to meet Hong Seol's parents. After they were introduced, Hong Seol's father asked about Yu-young's parents' occupations. Yu-young said his father owned his own company. When they asked the name, he revealed it was the biggest conglomerate in Seoul, leaving them stunned. Yu-young then enjoyed the noodles cooked by Hong Seol's mother and praised them profusely. Before leaving, he promised to visit again soon. The next day, In-ho went back to the professor and said he wanted to learn. The professor gave him a book and told him to practice until he came back from teaching. In class, they were assigned a group project, but the older student, once again, refused to participate and tried to get Hong Seol to do the work for him. This time, Hong Seol stood her ground and said that anyone who wanted to slack off and get a free ride would be removed from the group. The student yelled at her, and Min-soo watched Hong Seol with judgmental eyes. During break, Bo-ra and Hong Seol approached Min-soo about the lion phone charm. They had seen Min-soo with it before, but she claimed it was hers. After being brainwashed by Young-gon, Min-soo was constantly hostile towards Hong Seol. This time, she yelled at Hong Seol and told her to stop playing the victim. Bo-ra couldn't stand it anymore and tried to take the charm from Min-soo, but another girl dragged Min-soo away. Hong Seol went to her uncle's shop and learned that In-ho was practicing piano inside. She went in and criticized him for pretending to be good when he was still struggling with his technique. In-ho, fueled by her mockery, played a whole piece flawlessly, leaving Hong Seol speechless. Afterwards, they played a cheerful song together. The day of the presentation arrived, but Hong Seol hadn't received the work from the older student. She decided to remove his name from the group, causing him to become enraged and shout at her. When Min-soo's group presented, Hong Seol and Bo-ra noticed that their presentation was very similar to the one they had worked on last year. Hong Seol wanted to let it go, but she couldn't let herself be taken advantage of again. She couldn't keep thinking only of others. So, she questioned Min-soo about the presentation, and Min-soo insisted that she had done it. Hong Seol pointed out a specific spelling error in Min-soo's presentation, the same mistake she had made in their original work. After a heated argument, Bo-ra, Hong Seol, and Min-soo were all summoned to the teacher's office. After class, Hong Seol was confronted, but she refused to answer and walked away. In-ha went to the university looking for Yu-young, but a student mistook Min-soo for Yu-young's girlfriend and pointed her out. In-ha rushed over, grabbed Min-soo's hair, and started hitting her. In-ho intervened and carried In-ha away. She explained that Yu-young had kicked her out of his apartment, and her father had only given her 10 million won. In-ho was shocked and said, 10 million? That's a lot. You can buy a whole apartment and still have money left over. He then sent In-ha home and told her never to come back to the university. After a period of no contact, Yu-young ran into Hong Seol. He said he felt like he was coming back to life. Young-gon sought out Hong Seol and showed her the old text messages Yu-young had sent. Hong Seol snatched the phone and called the number. She identified herself as Hong Seol, and In-ha answered, saying she was Yu-young's lover. Hong Seol was stunned, returned the phone to Young-gon, and left. While still reeling from what she had witnessed, she encountered Yu-young waiting for her. She confronted him about the text messages, and he confessed that he was the one who sent them. He had thoughtlessly dismissed the issue at the time, not expecting the consequences. Hong Seol told him they needed more time and left. In the following days, they didn't communicate. At the university, Hong Seol kept receiving annoying text messages from Young-gon, but she just smiled sarcastically and ignored him. After being pressured by Young-gon, Min-soo feigned an apology to Hong Seol, but Hong Seol didn't accept it. Min-soo then made a scene, turning their classmates against Hong Seol. She then proudly boasted about her new boyfriend, without realizing that he was Hong Seol's younger brother. At the library, Young-gon stalked Hong Seol and secretly took pictures of her. He followed her to the schoolyard and tried to hit on her. Bo-ra and Yoon-teek secretly filmed them to get evidence. In-ho happened to be nearby and saw the two of them together. He suddenly embraced Hong Seol, which made In-ho furious, and he charged at Young-gon. In-ho ended up blocking the camera at the crucial moment. On the way home with In-ho, Hong Seol asked if his sister, In-ha, was close with Yu-young. In-ho was perplexed by her insistence on connecting them. He assured her that they weren't dating or anything, so she didn't have to worry. Suddenly, In-ho received a call from In-ha and rushed home. He found her standing on the street outside his apartment, saying she had nowhere else to go and wanted to stay with him. Once inside, she criticized his living space as smelly and tiny. Seeing the sheet music on the table, she realized he played the piano. When he brought her a bowl of noodles, she purposely spilled it on his music books. She then mocked him, saying he was still thinking he was a musical genius at his age. Out of the blue, In-ha brought up the old days when she, In-ho, and Yu-young used to be happy together. At school, Hong Seol avoided sitting near Yu-young. People noticed and commented about their sudden breakup. Bo-ra asked if they were having problems, and Hong Seol said no. But her attitude betrayed her true feelings. Hong Seol went out for water and saw Yu-young leaving, but she ignored him. She walked out of the bathroom and saw Yu-young waiting for her. He offered her a can of soda, but she refused and walked away. Yu-young grabbed her hand and pulled her close, then hugged her. Yu-young didn't say a word. He quietly tucked the soda can into his jacket pocket and left. After school, Yoon-taek told Bo-ra and Hong Seol that he couldn't walk with them. He went to see Yu-young. Yu-young told Yoon-taek to tell him if Hong Seol ever needed anything. Yoon-taek then showed Yu-young the video he had secretly recorded. Yu-young asked him to keep sending the videos he recorded. While sitting at the cafeteria with his younger brother and a close friend, Min-soo saw Yu-young happily chatting with Hong Seol. Jealousy flared up inside her. She was enraged that the person she liked was having such a good time with Hong Seol. Bo-ra and Hong Seol were walking to their classroom when Min-soo deliberately bumped into Hong Seol and dropped the lion phone charm. She then stepped on it and kicked it towards Hong Seol. Bo-ra wanted to confront her, but Hong Seol told her not to because they had an exam coming up, adding that it wasn't worth getting into a fight with someone like her. Yu-young, who was standing behind them, witnessed the whole incident. After the exam, Hong Seol called Min-soo aside to talk, but Min-soo kept escalating the situation and raised her voice. Everyone around them began to pay attention. Suddenly, Hong Seol's younger brother arrived. She asked him what he was doing there, and he replied that Yu-young invited him for a meal. The girl who was sitting with Young Gon recognized Hong Seol's brother as the same one Min-soo had bragged about being her boyfriend. Knowing she was caught lying, Min-soo became extremely nervous. After being cornered with no answers, Min-soo looked towards Young Gon and then attacked Hong Seol. The other students separated them. Min-soo shouted that she had always been a failure, nobody knew her, and nobody remembered her name. But Hong Seol had everything she wanted. Hong Seol retorted that everything she had achieved was not easy. Now, people would remember Min-soo as a liar. Yu-young asked to talk to Hong Seol. He promised not to force her to forgive him and said he would wait until she understood him better and came closer to him. He was also trying to change himself to be worthy of her. Hearing these words, Hong Seol appeared moved. In the days that followed, Min-soo disappeared from school. Everyone knew about the fight. While walking home, Hong Seol heard piano music and went to investigate. In-ho was practicing diligently. She sat down next to him. When In-ho said he wanted to be a music student and graduate, Hong Seol happily took his hand. He blushed and was speechless. When they got home, Hong Seol found In-ha sitting at their usual noodle shop. In-ha tried to befriend Hong Seol, but In-ho pulled her back. At home, In-ha asked In-ho if he liked Hong Seol, and he denied it frantically. Since In-ho wanted to go to school, Hong Seol offered to test his knowledge and tutor him. Young Gon, once again, appeared at the library stalking Hong Seol. Bo-ra and Yoon-taek were ready with their camera. He found Hong Seol organizing books and began bothering her again. When she ignored him, he became furious and threw books around. In-ho saw what was happening and chased Young Gon out to the lobby. He was about to punch him, but Hong Seol stopped him and pointed towards Yoon-taek, who was filming. In-ho didn't understand what she was doing or what she planned to do with the videos. Yoon-taek also sent the video to Yu-young. Yu-young couldn't understand why In-ho always seemed to be around at those times. Young Gon then called Hong Seol's home phone number, which annoyed her greatly. After a few words, she hung up. He then began plotting ways to break up Hong Seol and Yu-young. He contacted In-ha and tricked her into sending photos of herself with Yu-young to Hong Seol. After the incident at the library, Hong Seol was fired from her job. She walked home feeling dejected, wondering if she would ever find another job. Suddenly, she received a text from Young Gon. He sent her a photo of In-ha and Yu-young together. Hong Seol stared at the picture, lost in thought. She didn't have the energy to tutor In-ho, so they went home together. Seeing how often she was being harassed, In-ho bought her self-defense items to carry with her when she went out. The next day after school, Young Gon's girlfriend called him aside. She suspected that something was going on between him and Hong Seol. Young Gon suddenly went crazy and almost hit her. The crowd gathered to watch the commotion. In-ha, who was nearby, joined in, accusing him of being a traitor for deceiving her, and started beating him up. She showed everyone the shirtless photos he had sent her. Young Gon then showed them a picture of In-ha with Yu Young, claiming she was Yu Young's girlfriend. Seeing her lover being publicly humiliated, Hong Seol walked over and said she knew In-ha. She explained that the picture of them holding hands was normal because In-ha had been living abroad for a few years. Before leaving, Young Gon's girlfriend slapped him. He was about to hit Hong Seol, but she called him trash and walked away. Hong Seol chased after In-ha, wanting to talk to her. She asked if Yu Young had told her to do this, but In-ha denied it. In-ha then told her that if she couldn't handle it, she should leave them alone before it was too late. Hong Seol and In-ho were studying at the library when Hong Seol fell asleep. In-ho wrote her a note, returned her books, and went home to practice piano. The professor was delighted to see In-ho's progress and told him he was getting back to his true self. Hong Seol returned home to find her father forcing her brother to go back to America to study. He said he would try to find the tuition fees, even if it meant Hong Seol had to take a semester off from school. Hong Seol was furious and confronted her father. She said she had already agreed to move out of their house to cover her brother's tuition. She worked part-time and earned a scholarship, all by herself. Why did she have to take a semester off? She said he had never acknowledged her efforts and never comforted or encouraged her. She then stormed out. While walking aimlessly, she suddenly saw Yu Young. They ran to each other and embraced, their longing for each other bursting forth. Hong Seol cried in Yu Young's arms. Because Hong Seol didn't want to go home, Yu Young drove her around for a while. She fell asleep in his car. The next morning, she woke up in Yu Young's bed. He explained that he had asked Bo-ra to call her parents, so she didn't have to worry. Knowing that Hong Seol wasn't going to class that day, Yu Young pulled her down onto the bed, saying he wanted to sleep in for a while. Soon after, they kissed. Young Gon was browsing the internet when he came across an article about a stalker. He saw his own face in the pictures showing him following Hong Seol. People were leaving angry comments. He went to school, unable to look anyone in the eye. He texted Hong Seol, blaming In-ho for posting the pictures and demanding that she tell him to stop or he would sue. Hong Seol went to the library again to help In-ho study, but he was unmotivated. They went home together. On the subway, they chatted, and then In-ho took her to where her father was handing out flyers. That's when she realized why he wasn't at the noodle shop often. She went home and brought her mother and brother to see him. The family reunited. They even invited In-ho to have dinner with them. After school, Bo-ra and Yoon-teek invited Hong Seol to lunch, but she received a text from Yu Young and went to meet him. They were talking when In-ho and his professor arrived for lunch and joined them. Yu Young asked the professor if In-ho was making progress with his studies, but In-ho said it was none of his business. Seeing how close Hong Seol and In-ho were, Yu Young suddenly remembered the time when In-ho and In-ha had been closer to his father than he was. His attitude changed, and he left. Hong Seol ran after him to explain, but he didn't listen and walked away. Hong Seol tried to contact Yu Young but couldn't get through. She felt sad because they had just reconciled, and now they were fighting again. Young Gon followed Hong Seol back to her apartment building. He knelt down and begged for her forgiveness, promising never to see her again. He pleaded with her to tell the person who posted his photos online to stop. Hong Seol confessed that she was the one who had done it. Young Gon went crazy and tried to attack her, but Hong Seol sprayed pepper spray in his eyes and ran away. In-ha, who had been hiding in the corner, had recorded the whole scene and sent it to Yu Young. Yu Young asked her to send him everything she had filmed. Hong Seol ran back to the noodle shop and saw her father standing outside. She called out to him, and when he saw Young Gon, he ran off. He tried to chase after him, but his back hurt and he couldn't catch up. While having lunch with her seniors, they read about Young Gon on the university forum. It detailed the bad things he had done. Young Gon went crazy and ran outside, texting In-ha that he would sue everyone. But In-ha listed all the crimes he would face, and she even sent him the photos of him stalking Hong Seol. He couldn't believe it. He called In-ha, but Yu Young answered the phone. He told Young Gon to stay away from Hong Seol, or he would post a video of him harassing Hong Seol on the university forum, and then he hung up. Young Gon went berserk, ranting and raving at passersby. While sitting at the university forum, pondering who had posted those articles, Yoon Teek admitted he had uploaded them. But he told Hong Seol that Yu Young had helped him. Yu Young had wanted Hong Seol to find out on her own and keep it a secret until then. Hong Seol was stunned and left. Later, she went to Yu Young's apartment. She told him everything, that she and In Ho were just friends, and she was only helping him study to graduate. She also mentioned that she felt uncomfortable telling him about Young Gon's actions. She wanted him to be honest with her, not to avoid her or act cold. Hearing this, Yu Young pretended not to understand what she was saying and told her he would take her home. In Ho was scolding In Ha for taking money from Yu Young to do his bidding. In Ha said she valued In Ho and Yoon Teek more than Yu Young. Hearing this, In Ho suddenly remembered the past. In Ho, In Ha, and Yu Young had been close friends, but after Yu Young's father said he would adopt In Ha and her sister, Yu Young's attitude changed. Once, when their group was caught at a bar, one of them accused In Ho of being the one who ratted them out. Only In Ho had overheard the conversation about going to the bar. They dragged In Ho out and beat him up. One of them hit him on the hand with a club, injuring him. When Yu Young saw In Ho lying there, he turned away and left. That image had been deeply ingrained in Ho's mind, making him hate Yu Young. He confronted Yu Young, asking him what had happened, but Yu Young didn't explain anything. This made In Ho think it was all Yu Young's fault. In Ho left Yu Young's apartment. Back in the present, In Ho went to Yu Young's place and attacked him. He said he liked Hong Seol and got irritated when Yu Young teased her. After a long fight, Yu Young texted Hong Seol, asking her to meet him downstairs. When Hong Seol saw Yu Young's injured face, she was shocked and brought him back to her house to treat his wounds. She asked why he hated In Ho so much. Yu Young remembered going to In Ho's piano recital with a gift for him. He overheard In Ho telling a friend that Yu Young seemed smart and rich, but pathetic because he couldn't do what he wanted. He also heard his father say that Yu Young wouldn't be able to survive on his own, which is why he wanted to adopt In Ho and In Ha to give him siblings. Yu Young felt deeply hurt. After hearing Yu Young's heartfelt confession, Hong Seol hugged him and said she wanted to be by his side and understand him better. In Ho arrived at school and was scolded by his teacher for fighting with his hands, even though he was a pianist. In the library, Hong Seol was tutoring In Ho while texting Yu Young. In Ho looked sad. Yu Young called Hong Seol, so she went outside to answer. Seeing that, In Ho left without saying anything to Hong Seol. Back home, In Ho lay down, and images of Hong Seol kept popping up in his head. While practicing push-ups, his older sister yelled at him to go to sleep. She mocked him for losing the fight to Yu Young, asking if he liked Hong Seol. He was then sent to his room, and when he asked if she needed help, she shooed him away again. The next day, In Ha went to find Hong Seol and warned her not to get any ideas about her relationship with Yu Young and In Ho. Hong Seol told In Ha to stop pretending to be Yu Young's girlfriend and to stop running around. Hong Seol said their relationship was complicated and that In Ha shouldn't act close to him. Seeing Hong Seol's vulnerable state, In Ha was about to attack her but stopped when Hong Seol had a nosebleed. In Ha feared that Hong Seol would tell Yu Young and blame her for the nosebleed, so she ran away. While cleaning at the noodle shop, In Ho received a call from a friend who said that his boss was looking for him and planned to beat him up. He was advised to hide well. Hong Seol went to school and had a stomachache. She ran into In Ho, but at the same time, he saw his boss looking for him. He covered Hong Seol's mouth and pulled her into a corner. When the boss left, Hong Seol broke out in a cold sweat and fainted. In Ho quickly carried her to the hospital. Later, Hong Seol's parents and brother arrived at the hospital and learned that she had gastritis due to stress. The doctor said she would be okay in a few days. In Ho, fearing that the boss would find Hong Seol's noodle shop, proactively met him and got beaten up. The boss demanded In Ho pay back his debt, 5 million won plus interest, totaling 10 million won, within a week. He said that In Ho must have fallen for someone to stay at the university, and threatened to ruin In Ho's life and everything around him if he played any tricks. In Ho ran home and searched through envelopes and his savings book, but didn't have enough money. Yu Young also came to the hospital. He apologized to Hong Xiao for not being there for her during difficult times. In-ho went to the bank to try and get a loan to pay his debt, but without a stable job, the bank couldn't process his request. Yu Young gave Hong Xiao his old exam papers. When Sang Chiol, a senior, saw them, he wanted to look at them. Hong Xiao said she would ask Yu Young first. Sang Chiol then told everyone that Hong Xiao had the exam papers. In class, classmates who were previously unpleasant towards her suddenly acted friendly and concerned, clearly wanting to see the papers. At the noodle shop, In-ho went outside and saw his boss following him. His boss threatened him by mentioning his sister, In-ha. Hong Xiao peeked her head out, and In-ho quickly pushed her back inside. When he looked again, the boss was gone. In-ho went to Yu Young's father's house to borrow money, but this time, his father was very unpleasant upon realizing that Yu Young and In-ho had fought. He said he had done everything he could to prevent In-ho from hating Yu Young, and that Yu Young had sacrificed a lot for In-ho and his sister. He accused them of not showing any gratitude or changing their attitude. This hurt In-ho's pride, so he said he would never ask for help again and receive such comments from them. Hong Xiao went to school, planning to copy the exam papers for everyone, but overheard Sang Chiol and a friend saying that they wouldn't hang out with her if it wasn't for the exam papers. Later, at the storage area, they pretended to be friendly with Hong Xiao. Sang Chiol asked for the exam papers, saying it was unfair for her to keep them selfishly since she didn't have to put in any effort to get them. This time, Hong Xiao wasn't soft and refused outright, stating that they were her personal belongings and she wasn't obligated to share them. She told him to act properly, which made him furious. After finding out that In-ho had visited him, Yu Young went to In-ho and offered him 10 million won to pay his debt. But he also asked In-ho to stay away from Hong Xiao, as he didn't want In-ho's problems to put Hong Xiao and her family in danger. He added that In-ho should sort everything out and leave. Hong Xiao's mother asked her to bring kimchi to In-ho and check on him. But when she saw Hong Xiao, In-ho just took the kimchi and went inside without saying anything. After a moment, he took out his scarf and put it around Hong Xiao, telling her to dress warmly. He didn't say anything else. In the following days, Hong Xiao paid more attention to In-ho. She noticed him looking lost on the subway, not paying attention to his stop. Worried, she asked him what was wrong on her way home. In-ho didn't want to talk and got angry at her. Hong Xiao insisted that he tell her what was going on because she was concerned. She said if he had problems, her whole family would help him. In-ho was touched and embraced Hong Xiao. Bo-ra was standing when she received a text message from Yoon Teek asking her to meet him at the school gate. She happily ran there and was taken to a jewelry store by Yoon Teek, who asked her what kind of jewelry she liked. Thinking he was buying it for her, she was thrilled, but when she heard him say it was for his boss, her face fell. Back at school, Bo-ra was gloomy, so Hong Xiao took her for coffee. Upon returning to class, Hong Xiao discovered that she had lost the exam papers Yu Young had given her. The classmates sitting nearby blamed Sang Chiol. They went to the print shop and saw Sang Chiol walking out with a pile of papers. They checked them, but they weren't the right ones. They then accused Hong Xiao of thinking that Sang Chiol stole the papers. While having lunch with Bo-ra at the cafeteria, Sang Chiol came in looking very relaxed. Bo-ra also expressed her suspicion of him. In class, everyone was studying diligently, but Sang Chiol was calmly eating sausages. In-ho promised his boss that after his piano competition, he would give him all the prize money. He asked him to wait 1 month. When the boss called his superior, he decided to take In-ho's money and bring him back to his employer. Ever since In-ho hugged her, Hong Xiao had been avoiding him. Seeing her having dinner at a convenience store, In-ho went in. He confessed his feelings for her, saying that he liked her, but he didn't need her to admit it. Hong Xiao felt flustered. In-ho told her not to avoid him like that. These were his feelings, and he would deal with them himself. If she continued to avoid him, he would feel worse. The next day, everyone received news that Sang Chiol had passed the exam and would be treating everyone to dinner. That evening, on her way home, Hong Xiao overheard Sang Chiol talking to a classmate. He was drunk and showed the classmate the exam papers, saying they would help her. Hong Xiao ran over and accused him of stealing shamelessly. He got angry and said she was being selfish because she was Yu Young's girlfriend. Hong Seol scolded him for causing trouble and then pretending to be a victim. She said that he was stealing. This made Sang Cheol furious, and he wanted to hit her. Just then, In Ho arrived, saw what was happening, and punched Sang Cheol. Realizing things were getting out of hand, Hong Seol pulled In Ho away. For Bo Ra's birthday, Yu Young wanted to treat her to dinner, but she said she didn't want to see them together, and that she would go with Yoon Teek. Yu Young asked Bo Ra if something was wrong, and Hong Seol explained that Yoon Teek and Bo Ra had some issues and wanted to go out alone. That evening, Yoon Teek said he had something to do and would be late, which made Bo Ra sad. When she got home, she found Yoon Teek waiting at the door. Seeing her sadness, he gave her a birthday present, which surprised her. It was the pair of earrings she had chosen at the jewelry store the day before. She asked about his boss, and Yoon Teek said he just wanted to trick her and surprise her. Yoon Teek then confessed his feelings for Bo Ra. He said that if they continued to be friends, they would end up dating other people and miss out on each other. Seeing that Bo Ra wasn't saying anything, he was about to leave when she called him back, saying she didn't want to break up with him and wanted to be with him forever. She also said she didn't want him to date anyone else. He returned and asked her to date him. Bo Ra agreed. Sang Cheol called Yu Young and asked for help with an interview at the company where Yu Young worked. He said he had dropped out of an interview at another company to prepare for the interview as Yu Young had instructed and was given practice questions related to China by Yu Young. But during the interview, when he was answering questions, the interviewers told him that he lacked basic information about the company and was answering incorrectly. He ultimately failed the interview. That evening, Hong Seol was walking home when she ran into Sang Cheol, who was drunk. He said he wanted to talk to her and pulled her into a bar. He apologized for his past actions and told Hong Seol about how Yu Young had helped him. Hong Seol was suspicious. At the same time, In Ha entered the bar and joined them. Sitting beside them and listening to the conversation, she said to Sang Cheol that Yu Young had sabotaged him, probably interfering with the initial application screening process. Sang Cheol said that Yu Young wouldn't be able to do that. In Ha looked at Hong Seol, who was silent, and said that Yu Young was the only son of that conglomerate, so he had the power to manipulate things. The other friend and Sang Cheol were astonished. Reflecting on his recent experiences, Sang Cheol finally understood the problem and was furious. The next day, he went to Yu Young's workplace and berated him, mentioning in front of everyone that Yu Young was the chairman's son. As Sang Cheol walked out, Yu Young grabbed him by the collar and yelled at him. Sang Cheol was shocked by Yu Young's attitude and words. Turning around, Yu Young saw Hong Seol standing there. She hugged Yu Young and said she knew how he felt, so he shouldn't worry that she would leave him again. The next day, news about Yu Young being the chairman's son spread through the class. Everyone asked Hong Seol about it, but she didn't say anything. She also heard people talking about how Yu Young had made Sang Cheol fail the interview. At the company, everyone knew about it, and some people even tried to get close to Yu Young. At school, Hong Seol saw everyone gathered around Yu Young and pulled him outside. Sang Cheol found Yu Young and wanted to talk to him. He told him not to underestimate the people around him because some of them genuinely wanted to be his friend. He said they shouldn't meet anymore and apologized for the things that had happened. While driving Hong Seol home, Yu Young received a ring from her as a gift. She said it was their couple's ring and asked him not to take it off or lose it. Yu Young was surprised and then beamed with joy as he looked at the ring. In Ho was preparing for his upcoming piano competition when he received a message from the doctor saying that his hand had a problem and needed surgery. It could take 2 months for full recovery. Sitting in front of the piano, In Ho was very disheartened. In Ha went to Yu Young's father's company and told him that Hong Seol was responsible for revealing Yu Young's identity. She said Hong Seol was trying to get close to Yu Young because she knew he was the heir to the conglomerate. Yu Young saw In Ha coming out of the company from the elevator. Yu Young was then called in by his father, who scolded him, saying that people like Hong Seol would make Yu Young behave erratically. Seeing Yu Young's resistance, his father believed in Han and told him to break up with Hong Seol. He also said that after his internship, Yu Young would be transferred abroad. The upcoming company party was the first and last party for Yu Young in Korea. He invited In Ha to attend. Yu Young was furious and went outside to call In Ha, telling her she had gone too far this time and that he wouldn't let it slide. In-ha challenged him. At the party, In-ha and Yu-young met, but he pretended to be normal and asked her to take a walk. Suddenly, she ran into two guys she had been involved with previously. They started calling her a gold digger who was after rich guys. Furious, she splashed water on one of them and hit the other with her bag. They grabbed her and pushed her to the ground. She yelled that she was the daughter of the conglomerate chairman. Yu-young's father saw what was happening and told the security guards to take her out. Seeing this, she ran towards him, but he ignored her. In-ha saw those two guys talking to Yu-young. It turned out he had intentionally sent them invitations. In-ho opened the door to his apartment and found it in disarray. In-ha was lying in the middle of the floor looking distraught. He asked what happened, and she finally told him about the incident at the party. In-ho went to see Yu-young and asked him why he did that to In-ha. Yu-young just said that if she ever targeted Hong Seol again, he didn't know what he would do. Then he walked away, leaving In-ho confused. The next morning, In-ha went to see Yu-young's father to explain the situation from the previous night, but he had realized her true nature. He said she should have given up her pursuit of his son to protect her two sisters. He wanted to end their relationship and told her not to call or visit him again. In-ha was shocked. She ran to Yu-young's house, slapped him, and smashed things inside. She was furious and was eventually taken away by Yu-young's staff. In-ha screamed in despair, the most miserable she had ever been. While walking on the street, In-ha ran into Hong Seol. She attacked her and pushed her into the middle of the road. A car came speeding towards them and hit Hong Seol, knocking her unconscious. Yu-young had just received a text from Hong Seol saying she was coming over to his place, but then he heard the sound of an ambulance downstairs. He ran down immediately. Yu-young followed Hong Seol to the hospital. The doctor said she had suffered a brain hemorrhage and a fractured rib, but the surgery was successful. In-ho was practicing piano when he received a call saying that In-ha was at the police station. He rushed there, but before he understood what was happening, Yu-young stormed in, grabbed In-ha by the collar, and was about to attack her. He said that if anything happened to Hong Seol, he wouldn't let In-ha live. In-ho finally understood what was going on and ran after him, asking about Hong Seol, but Yu-young didn't tell him anything and drove away. In-ha was taken away by Yu-young's father's people and brought to a psychiatric hospital. She screamed and demanded to leave. She told Yu-young to beg his father to let her go. In-ho called the chairman's secretary, but he said he wasn't allowed to see the chairman. Yu-young's father came to the hospital where Hong Seol was recovering and spoke to her parents. He then told Yu-young that he would accept all terms and conditions and provide compensation if they agreed to settle the case. He said Yu-young had been wrong to fall in love with Hong Seol and that she was hurt because of him. Sitting beside Hong Seol's hospital bed, Yu-young thought about the time they spent together and about the things he had done to those around him. He was afraid that if he stayed with her, she would be in danger again. In the hospital, In-ha was constantly making a fuss, driving the nurses crazy. She refused to see In-ho. He stood outside her room and said that if she wanted to be released soon, she shouldn't act like that. She didn't respond and just sat there listlessly. When Hong Seol's friends visited her, they learned that Yu-young hadn't been to the hospital since she woke up. They mentioned it, which made Hong Seol confused about why he was acting like that. When Hong Seol was discharged, she found In-ho waiting for her outside. They talked privately, but In-ho couldn't say anything except apologize. Hong Seol gave him the settlement agreement, saying she didn't want to make a big deal out of it because she felt tired and exhausted. She wanted to return to her normal life and wished him well in his competition. Yu-young told his father that he had quit his job at the company. He needed time to find himself again. He went to see In-ha and broke up with her, telling her to escape from the past and not let it hold her back. In-ho and Yu-young also had a conversation. Yu-young gave In-ho the signed sheet music of a famous composer from the past that he had obtained. He said he should have given it to In-ho sooner. In-ho was touched because Yu-young still remembered their past relationship, unlike what he had thought. Yu-young visited Hong Seol at home and wanted to talk to her privately. Hong Seol said she wanted them to continue being together like they were before, but Yu-young suggested breaking up because he wasn't sure if she could handle him for long. In-ho was heartbroken when he heard this. When In-ho was about to move away, Hong Seol went to say goodbye to him. In-ho participated in the piano competition after years of neglecting his talent, with his sister and 2 teachers watching him. Everyone's life went back to normal. In-ha texted Hong Seol and apologized. She also told her that Yoo-young was going to fly abroad. 3 years passed. Hong Seol became a department manager at her workplace. In-ha was dating her friend from those days. In-ho was accepted into a prestigious music academy. Bo-ra and Yoon-teek opened their own clothing store. They all continued to be happy together. Hong Seol sat looking at all the emails she had sent to Yoo-young over the years, none of which he had read. As she walked away, the screen displayed the words "read" and a message from Yoo-young, Hong Seol.